Meanwhile, the US President Joe Biden has today repeated his accusation that President Putin is a war criminal and said that Washington would be calling for a war crimes trial, but he stopped short of calling this genocide.
You may remember I got criticized for calling Putin a war criminal. Well, the truth of the matter is so what happened in Bucha. This warrants him, he is a war criminal. But we have to gather the information. We have to continue to provide Ukraine with the weapons they need to continue the fight. And we have to gather all the detail so this can be have a war crime trial. This guy is brutal. And what's happening in Bucha is outrageous. And everyone's seen it.
The US President speaking there. Well, let's cross the DC and speak to France 24's Kyiv Gorgestani, who joins us now. Kyiv, that's really strong language, isn't it, being used there by President Biden, calling his Russian opposite number a war criminal?
Yes, and he sort of hit back at the criticism from many people here in the U.S., but also in Europe, when he called him a war criminal the first time around. And he basically started his comments by saying that, remember when you criticized me for calling him a war criminal, where, well, the scenes that we're seeing in Bucha basically support my claim. That was, in essence, the message of the U.S. president. So he really just simply reiterated more forcefully something that he has said in the past. The United States Senate has also used that same wording, war criminal, in one of its resolutions last month. So it's really just doubling down on something that he has said before. Then there is also this call for a wartime trial. And that is something that is significant for the United States. And the question is really how they're going to strike the balance. Because remember that the United States may have signed a treaty, but is not party to the International Criminal Court, for example. Neither is Russia, and neither is actually Ukraine. And so the U.S. is really striking a very difficult balance between supporting this possible investigation into war crimes and possibly a future trial, while at the same time not really recognizing the jurisdiction of this International Criminal Court over the United States, for example. But you're seeing the president really supporting that move. Another move by the United States, which is more a symbolic one, will be that the U.S. representative at the United Nations will be calling for the suspension of Russia from the UN Human Rights Council, which could be voted on very soon.
OK, and perhaps even sooner than that. I mean, the United States might announce some more sanctions, and some people are wondering what's left to sanction at this stage.
Exactly. The president was actually asked about that in that same moment when he made those comments about the war criminal. And he said that, yes, he would be announcing more sanctions soon. But as you said, there already have been quite a bit of sanctions, especially on the United States part, because in Europe, there's still this discussion about an embargo on Russian oil and gas. That's something that the Americans have already done unilaterally. Of course, they depend much less on Russian energy, but that has been done in the U.S. And so the idea likely will be to sort of tighten, expand the already existing sanctions, maybe sanction more banks, more entities, more persons that are around Vladimir Putin. We've seen several waves of sanctions where we had new names of people either in the Duma or really directly working with Vladimir Putin, maybe more family members of these people close to Vladimir Putin. So it looks like it's going to be more financial sanctions, at least coming from the Americans. But there will be a press briefing later on today, and they just added the participation of the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, which might mean that we're going to get a little bit more, maybe information about what type of sanctions, at least from the U.S., we can expect.
All right, well, Kyiv Gorgestani in D.C., thank you very much indeed for bringing us the latest on all of that.